Hi guys, I know you've been working very hard. It's very nice that you still guys young and energetic. You're working very hard and you don't get tired, and you okay, but 24th is not very far. It's in 2 days' time. Do us proud. Today we'll be looking at question 3, which is about production factors. Even on the paper on the 24th question 3 will be production factors. They will be looking at land, labor, capital, and these are the production factors and management. Ne? Land, you just need to know the definition. It refers to the natural resources on the farm, like soil, like your water, your weather, and all those vegetation. All that refers to land. And about land, all you need to know are the economic functions of land. That is, the functions of land provides food, provides raw material, provides minerals, act as a collateral, and all those. Ne? And also the economic characteristics of land, like about subject to law of diminishing returns. We'll talk about that one. Land is cannot be destroyed. That is, it is indestructible. Land is durable. That means you can use it and use it for many years. It's not gonna. It's durable. So land can be found in a specific environment, the production potential, all those guys. But make sure that you understand, you read with understanding, so that even if the examiner uh, approaches those in a form of maybe a pictures or diagrams, you are able to understand and identify what is happening. Ne? So make sure that those economic characteristics, you are able to explain them in depth. And also, even we said land, you need to know the functions, the economic characteristics, and the ways or techniques of improving land productivity. That's very important. About ways of improving land productivity, like irrigation, consolidation of an economic farm units. You understand, like adapting to new scientific methods like your fertilization. You understand, all right. So, but make sure that you learn those with understanding, so that you can be able to explain them. Coming to labor, also a definition is very important to say that no, I know labor or a worker is someone who works on farm, is the physical or mental ability on the farm performed with the expectation of remuneration. Ne? So also the types of laborers, you need to know that we have permanent laborers, those that are employed permanently. Ne? And also they live on farms permanently, and they are employed throughout the year. But temporary laborers, there's two of them. There's two types of temporary laborers. We have casual laborers, those that only come for specific tasks, and they are employed for less than 24 hours a month. And also we have seasonal laborers, those that are employed during specific seasons of the year, like the season for harvesting, or season for sheep shearing. So for those peak periods on the farm, you understand, ne? All right, and also you need to know the labor problems and also ways of improving labor productivity. Ne? Labor problems being most of the laborers on farm are not trained; they are unskilled, lack of training. Also, poor labor management, long working hours, competition with industries. You understand? You know all those things, guys. You need to know those things. Man. And also how to improve labor productivity, like improve their working conditions, improve their salaries, planning, good planning, so that each day each laborer knows what they are expected to do, daily planning and all those things. Efficient mechanization, if you can bring in machines there, at least you are improving labor productivity, and all those, ne? And also the contract, what should be there in the contract, and what is a contract, all those things. Coming to capital, also capital refers to produced goods, equipments, machinery, even the buildings and land on all those refers to your capital, and even money, it also refers to capital. And also capital, or you also have problems related to capital, like it's subject to high risk, subject to high interest rates and all those, ne? Okay, but yeah, guys, before we lose Ilandoka, let's look at 3.1. The table below shows a budget. You know, a budget is an estimate, it's an estimated income and expenditure for a particular period. It could be a year or a month. And there's also cash flow budget, that is estimate cash receipts and cash expenditures, ne? Your cash outflow inflows and your cash outflows for that particular period, if we're talking cash flow budget. But this one is a budget of an emerging, that is a farmer who's just started, who's new, for a period of a year. Okay, we can see that there's costs, so cost is also expenditure. All right, there's income. Okay, income which is made by sale. So you need to sell something before you can make what? Income. All right, on the side of cost, add everything. Here you can see the total. If this plus that plus that plus that is 252 500 thousand 252,000. And on the side of income, 320,000. So you see, it's easy. We have not even looked at the questions, but you can see that at least this farmer is doing well. If this is more than this one, the money that he makes, the income is more than what he spends, then it means this farmer is good. Okay, his business is good. Okay, let's look at the questions. Identify one cost item. Cost item, it means it will be the item on the cost side that can be repaid over a period of 5 years. Guys, you need to know here that we talked about capital, and you said capital, types of capital. You have fixed capital. Fixed capital buys items that are for long-term credit, ne? That is over a period of 10 years or more, ne? Like your buildings, your land, ne? And we have movable capital. Movable capital, you can use medium-term credit. That is for a period of um, about two to 5 years. 2 or 5 years or so. 5, yeah. It's medium term, ne? Some we can say less than 10 years, 5 years, 5 to 10 years. Okay, and then we have floating or working capital. Floating capital. This one is you use a short-term credit. Short-term, that is less than 2 years. Ne? Less than 2 years. Okay. For instance, movable capital refers to your tractors, your cows, livestock, all the livestock, your cows, your sheep, cattle, and all that, and even equipment. But floating or working capital, everything that when you use it, you spend it, it's gone. Like your seeds, your fertilizer, your fuel on the farm. For instance, electricity. We can say this one is floating. Okay, money for wage for laborers also floating. Seedlings is also floating capital. Then tractor it's movable capital. We use medium term credit. Pesticides is also floating. So to answer this question that says item that can be repaid over a period of 5 years, it's there. It's a move. It's medium term credit to buy what? A tractor. So it means this item is a loan. It's this one. So the answer here you must write loan or tractor. That means it's a loan to buy a tractor. So it's a cost item and you need to pay it over a period of 5 years. But if there was land here, it was going to belong here. And if the examiner asked for cost items that can be paid over a period of 2 years or less, then it would mean all these others: pesticides, seedlings, money for wages, and all that. Ne? Okay, I hope you understand, guys. Give a reason for your answer. We've already mentioned that a tractor is a movable capital which can be bought using medium term credit. You understand, ne? Okay. Refer to the data above and calculate the highest income generated. It's easy. I don't know about the highest, but this is the income that this farmer generates: 320,000. 320,000. So that's all. But okay, guys, if it's about calculation, you must show it. You must say 200,000 plus 120,000 and you get an answer of 320,000. Ne? So that is the answer. So the 2 marks is for you to show all the steps. If you write only 320,000, you're gonna get 1 mark. So show all your steps. Indicate in the budget above 2 problems that can be associated with the medium-term asset. We said, guys, the medium-term asset is the tractor. So a tractor is a capital item. So what are the problems of capital? You see how the examiner is asking for this, but you must know when problems, you know that it's either the examiner is asking for problems of land, or which is subject to law of diminishing returns, or referring to problems of labor, that is all lack of training, poor labor management, migration to cities, that is competition with industries, long working hours, all those. Or it's the problems of capital, that is, capital is scarce, capital is subject to high risk, capital is subject to high interest rates. You understand, ne? So we can see that here is referring to problems, medium term asset. Asset is also a capital item. Ne? It's also a capital, that is a tractor. So so basically this is asking for problems of capital, but in this case a tractor. So we know that or loan, ne? E-loan is subject to high interest rate, also subject to high risks. High risk is then those accidents, can get to accidents, or it can be it's stolen, that is a theft, ne? And also scarcity, money, hence that farmer has gone for a loan. So there's a shortage of capital. And okay, but this one is only referring to this tractor, ne? So it's the high risk. And also another thing about a tractor is the problem of depreciation. Depreciation. You know that when you buy a car or a tractor, it you go and buy it for 500,000 rands. When you park it in your garage, its value has dropped dramatically. When you go and you want to sell it again, you have not used it. You want to sell it again, you will lose about 100,000. They will buy it for 400,000 or even less. So there's depreciation, and on this. That's another problem. Okay, guys, let's leave this one for problems. You must know this. Use a formula to calculate the profit. Guys, it's easy. Profit, you must know the formula again. You start with the formula. Profit is equal to total income minus total expenditure, or total minus total costs. In this case, what is the total income? Is 320,000 minus total expenditure 252,500. And then if it's the answer is a minus, it means this farmer is working on a deficit. But if it's a positive, of which in this case you can see that it's positive, he is making about 67,500 rands profit. So you see how many marks are there? 3 marks. So there's, for saying in profit, it's income minus expenditure, you get a mark. For substitution, you get a mark. And then for the answer, you get a mark. 3 full marks. Wow, wonderful marks. All right, guys, let's move fast. Identify the legislation that regulates each. Working conditions of farm workers. All right, this one is a Basic Conditions of Employment Act. BCEA, Basic Conditions of Employment Act. We always in its act. Training of workers. This one is a Skills Development Act, SDA. Skills Development Act. Don't write the acronyms like I'm doing. I'm just trying to save time. Handling of dangerous chemicals and equipment. Okay, this one is about Occupational Health and Safety Act. Always the A ekugqibeleni. So OHS, Occupational Health and Safety. SDA, Skills Development Act. This one, Basic Conditions of Employment, then Act. All right. Then there's 2 more that they have not asked. You know, the one that deals with the strikes and rights to join unions, the Labor Relations Act. And there's also the one that is closer to this one, that is also about the safety of workers. This one is about the safety of workers in the workplace, and this one is also about the safety of workers, the one, a compensation of occupational injuries and diseases. This is the Act. COIDA. Compensation of Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act. So you must know these 5 acts. But working conditions, it's about what? So we know about it's about the right the rights of the workers, njengoma leave and leave days and all that. labor relations, I've already training, like how you need to train your workers. These two about the safety of the workers. All right. Okay, a farmer employed 4 permanent laborers for the day-to-day tasks. We're on this one now. During harvesting, 10 additional laborers were employed for a period of a month. You see? You see? I said so that two types of permanent laborers. So, so during harvesting is a peak period. He needs more laborers. Okay, what type of temporary laborers were employed for a period of this month for harvesting? Definitely it's the seasonal. Ne? Good. Distinguish between the type of laborers named in Treaty 1, that is the seasonal and permanent laborers. Guys, I've already said so. Permanent laborers are those that are employed full time or they are employed permanently, that is throughout the year. Or um, yes, they live in farms. Ne? But seasonal laborers are those that are employed for repetitive tasks, like, or they are employed for certain seasons, like harvesting, ne? Or during big periods. They only come during those seasons. They only come during certain seasons to assist and then they leave. Ne? But make sure that when you, because the question says distinguish, make sure that you convince the examiner that you know the difference between the two. And we know that the one that they have not asked, the casual laborers, are those that are employed contract yabo it's less than 24 hours per month. Ne? They work for less than 24 hours a month. State three challenges associated with labor. It's those things that I mentioned, okay, guys, or scarcity of laborers. Even naku capital, we start with shortage, scarcity or shortage. Ne? Nqabile, scarcity of skilled laborers, ne? Especially those that are skilled. You know, when we talk of the skilled, we know laborers, there are those that are skilled, that is those that have received permanent training, full training. Semi-skilled are those that have received half training or part training. Then those that are unskilled, those that are unskilled are those that have got no training at all, but they are there. The farmer needs to train those guys. Scarcity, lack of training, competition with industries. You know, okay, guys, these things, ne? You need to know them. Ne? Calculate the wage of laborer working for one public holiday if she earns 150 per day. Guys, you know, on a public holiday, your salary, according to Acts, working conditions, basic conditions of employment. If you are working on a public holiday, you must get twice what you are paid on a normal day. So on a normal day, this laborer gets 150. But now, because it's a public holiday, he needs to get twice of that. So it means for that day, because he works on a public holiday, he will get 300 rands. So even here, you see it's 2 marks, so you must show either you say 150 plus 150 or you say 150 times 2 because it's a public holiday. You must get twice. Okay.